Hello my friends, welcome here. I am rocking the Elsa braid today. I don't know why, I just decided to change things up. Here we are, Elsa braid. My daughter would be so proud. Speaking of kids, that's what this video is about. Should you have kids if you live chronically ill? You may hear mine in the background. I do have children. I have three. I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And yes, it's a lot, and we will get into that today. I have seen videos on the internet that say, this is why I don't have kids and I'm chronically ill, and I've seen them why I do have kids and I live chronically ill. Here's the truth. I have no idea whether you should have kids or not. I know what's good for me. I know how to make decisions for myself. But for you, it depends. People will tell you if you don't have kids that you should and all the reasons why you should, and if you don't, people will tell you all the reasons that you shouldn't have had kids or that you shouldn't have kids if you're thinking about it. First of all, it is a lot, okay? It's a lot of work and energy. I have little ones right now, and I will tell you that pregnancy was really hard on my body. I really struggled through all my pregnancies. I was sick the whole time, but I'm always sick, so who knows if I still would have been that sick, but it was a lot on my body. My experience with labor and delivery was great. I had no issues there. The newborn stage, if I'm just being honest, not my favorite time. I love them with all of my soul and my heart, and there's something inside me that just gets me up every day and every night because they wake up at night a lot, and there's something that moms are given to help them get up and do all the things that need to be done. But I was physically very ill, obviously fatigued, you're not sleeping, so there's that aspect on top of just giving birth and everything. And like I said, mine was pretty standard birth. I didn't have anything crazy, I didn't have C-sections. I did have a hysterectomy, so I had major surgery 6 weeks postpartum after my third baby, and that was the hardest time of my entire life. My other babies, I did not have surgeries, and so it was pretty standard. Postpartum, my first baby was not a good sleeper. I only had one baby to take care of, but I really struggled. I think the first baby is the hardest because you don't know what you're doing. It's brand new. You've never felt that type of sleep deprivation before. And then my second was a really good sleeper, totally different experience. The newborn stage was completely different. I could focus more on my health because my baby, he just wanted to lay down by himself and sleep. He was napping great, napping out 2-hour naps during the day when my first would take 20 minutes naps unless I was holding her. And my third got RSV at 2 weeks old, got sick so many times. The sleep was a lot. She really didn't sleep through the night until she was about a year old. I would say all 3 of my babies didn't fully sleep through the night until they were a year old, consistently. We still occasionally have night wakings, but it's completely different. And when you nurse a baby, my husband couldn't even help them, so I would just have to be the one to get up. Sometimes it was hard to get them back down. They'd wake up and they'd be up for a few hours because you couldn't get them back to sleep. But now if we have night wakings, it's just really easy, unless someone's sick or something. The second year is tough in different ways. I personally prefer the second year, the toddler stage, to the baby stage. I think it's just more fun. I do better when I sleep. So typically, at least with my case, all 3 of my babies around 1 started sleeping, but they are now walking and getting into things and climbing on things. And they're not old enough to be on their own, but they're old enough to think that they can do things. I have my youngest is now 17 months old. She climbs on everything. Everything. If we go out somewhere, she immediately starts running. I can't just leave her and even go to the bathroom by myself because she will get into something. So that stage is just hard in a different way. I know some people say that stage is harder for them because they're chasing down their kids, but I would rather sleep 2 to 3. I think every month gets easier in my opinion. To me, once they start talking, once they can communicate with you, it becomes a lot easier because we can talk to each other instead of I have no idea why you're screaming right now. But I tell you that just to say that it is hard, and that's the truth. It is really, really difficult those first few years, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. And I got pregnant with all my babies around this time. It won't be this time around, but around between 12 and 15 months, I got pregnant with my next baby after my first 2. And it's because it's just something magical happens once you start sleeping again. You're just holy cow, I want 20 of you. You're just so freaking amazing and so fun. And as soon as you've been struggling to get them to bed and you're all stressed out, and then they finally fall asleep, and then you're just watching videos of them on your phone. You're like, why am I doing this? Why am I so obsessed with you when I was just so mad that you weren't sleeping? It's a weird experience, but to me, it is very, very worth it. Now, I feel good about having 3 kids. We are done. We never say never. We could adopt one day, but at this moment in time, we don't plan on anything else. So I also want to talk about how I knew we were done, because this may be a similar feeling to those of you who don't want any kids, or maybe you just want one kid and you're not sure if you should have more than one, but you have this feeling. I think for me, it was that I wanted to be able to give my kids as much as I could. Each kid, you're spread a little bit more thin, right? And I just felt like I don't know if I could be spread any more thin. And maybe that will change one day. Maybe as my kids get older, things will change. Never say never. But right now, I'm like, I don't think I could handle more than this. I can handle this. I can do it. It's hard. It's difficult. But hard doesn't mean bad. Hard doesn't mean it's the wrong decision to have kids. But there's a point where I want to make sure I'm providing for them financially, physically, obviously, emotionally, and spiritually. All of those things. If you're stretched too thin, yeah, maybe it's not right. Maybe even one kid is just too much. It stretches you too thin. That might be a reason. I actually felt like I couldn't do more than 2. And I am religious. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So for me, it was also just whatever you want to call it. Spiritual prompting is what I would call it, that we should have one more baby. And we did. And then after that, I felt complete. I felt whole. I felt content with where I was at. I didn't feel like something was missing. I remember when I had 2 kids, looking at my pictures of my family, and in my mind thinking, I don't know if I could have another, but in my heart, it was telling me someone's missing. There's someone not here. And I don't feel that anymore. I feel complete. I feel whole. I look at our family pictures and I just feel like we've done it. We've created this family. I don't know the right answer for you, but I will tell you that there's no wrong answer. You aren't a bad person for not having kids. You're not a bad person for having a lot of kids and feeling ill. People make judgments without knowing the whole situation. So many hard things, but there's so many benefits. They get me out of bed every day. I have the hardest time in the morning getting out of bed, but I have to get out of bed with them, and they bring me joy. They get me out of my own head. They help me think more positively. Bring so much joy and light, and you don't know what that feels like until you experience it. And I've always wanted kids. That's another thing, another reason that I felt right about having kids with chronic illness, is it is something that I've always desired. I had to give up a lot to have kids. And another reason why for some people it's not the right choice, because they're not willing to give certain things up. And to me, all I've ever wanted is to be a mom. And so I'm like, yeah, I would way take that over other things. Other people, like, all I want to do is travel. So that's my number one priority. Great. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, you don't need to feel bad for that. You don't need to whatever. Like, just because my choice is different doesn't mean that you're making the wrong decision. But for me, I did have to give up. What I wrote down was money. Holy cow, they're expensive. Like, there's certain treatments I wasn't able to get. There's things on my list of things I want to try for my health that they're just too expensive. Had I not had kids, could I be doing them? Totally, but I'm not going to do that. Sleep, of course, we give up sleep. Like I said, my kids still will wake up different times, nightmares, or they're sick, and so they wake up a few times. But those first few years, you give up a lot of sleep. Travel, we don't travel. We just don't. I'm sure one day when my kids are older, we'll probably pick that up. But because of money, because of the energy to bring kids, it's just not worth it to us, but we give that up. As well as I put comfort. So things like this morning, all I wanted was just keep sleeping. Like, why can't you just sleep 30 minutes longer? They don't. And my older ones, if my older ones wake up, they can kind of do stuff by themselves, play by themselves. But my little one, it's like, I just have to get up with her. I can't just let her loose in the house alone. That's my experience with having kids. I know that was kind of a lot of information. Everybody needs to decide for themselves. You don't need to feel guilty either way. I mean, someone will tell you you're doing it wrong. That is a guarantee. Whether it's your friends or family or people online or whatever, someone will tell you you're doing it wrong. They always will, but they don't know what you want. So you get to decide that. Let me know in the comments. Do you have kids? Do you not have kids? Are you on the fence about it? Subscribe for more. I'll try not to talk so much in the next one, but I just love kids, and it's my whole life. Chronic illness and kids. So like, you bring up those two topics, like I can't shut my mouth. Okay, bye.